Hello, and welcome to the Bee Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast. I'm getting much better at saying hello versus good evening or good morning because I'm here with Samantha Harwood, all the way from the UK. And I forgot to ask you where you are based, Samantha,
In the South.
in the South. Cool. And it's 10:08 a.m. Tuesday the 27th of May. And it's 7:08 p.m. here. So we are both in the present actually, because I've also been having these conversations where some people are in the past, I've been in the future, but we're in the present. We're actually both in the present today.
Yes. Yes.
And you ready to get started? I feel like we're going to have a really good, energetic conversation. And I'm going to hand it over pretty quickly to you, Samantha, but I'm pretty thrilled to have you on board. I shouldn't say just pretty, I'm thrilled to have you on board because we've got a lot to unpack and a lot to chat about, especially when it comes to my passion of life, leadership, and business. And, you are I'm going to say a people product owner and practice leader. And I've added in people into your title because I think that people is at the heart of everything you do by the sounds of things and just the quick chat we had before. And you're in, from what I understand, finance, tech, working for a company, First Central Insurance. I think
Yes.
I've got all that right. But at the heart of what you do is and in your work is the belief that everyone is worthy of their career and life goals. And I
Absolutely.
absolutely love that. Love that. Your approach centers around mentoring people to build that self-confidence, communicate authentically, and navigate the intersection of career, mental health, and personal growth. My goodness, exactly what I'm all about, and especially what Be Formless is all about. So, tell us a little bit about your journey, what you're up to, how you came about, incorporating all this into your career, and yeah, let's just have a good old chat about it.
Absolutely. And it's a real honor to be here today with you as well. I mean, I've been
Thank you.
watching through those videos, and I think it's just exciting to have these kind of conversations. So, oh gosh, the question, that's huge. I really, really lacked a lot of self-confidence in my early years. I really, really struggled. And that was kind of a very big thing throughout my teenage years. I'm an introvert. Nobody believes me when I
I was about
say
to say,
that.
really?
Yeah, I know. And it's nuts, isn't it? However, it is something that when I took my degree in mathematics and computer science, when I kind of walked into that degree and went, oh my gosh, I'm the only woman there. Pretty much. It was about 1% women. And the industry as a whole is around about 9% women in technology. And it's a huge thing to kind of go into that and then go, oh my gosh, I've got to stand my ground. And I found that almost every single day, standing my ground, the confidence is really tough. Um, and I had quite a few early setbacks, difficult things, leaders that didn't quite align with who I was, and then a redundancy quite early on in my career. And it really just hit me hard. Now, I'm
Mm.
actually under redundancy now, but because I've been through that so many times before, I now see this as quite an empowering journey. Um, and
I love that you can
I,
see that. Sorry, just to pause for a second. I do love
of
that you
course,
can see that as an empowering journey because so many of us don't.
they
I
do,
was made
yes.
redundant voluntarily. I chose to take the redundancy a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I think you need to talk about that more in terms of the empowerment of it because
Yeah.
at the time I lost my confidence and all of that. And I think
It's
it's great that you're
huge.
acknowledging that
Oh,
it's an
yeah.
empowering thing and yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, no, no, no. And I think I'll just quickly, because
Keep
that
going.
was such a big thing. Like it was 2 weeks ago, 10 a.m. in the morning, literally this time, but like 2 weeks ago. And you get told you're on this call because your job is at risk. Now, I've been through it 6 times now in various companies. And my heart dropped for about 2 seconds. I think I actually remember counting it because you get that sinking feeling when it's like, oh no. And then I just thought, oh well, you've been here nearly 2 years. it's time for a change. You could take some money for once. I've never actually taken the money before. So it was really exciting to like go, okay, that's prospect. But then I was like, okay, what about everybody else? Because they hadn't been. So my first instinct, and when you have the stress response, what do you
Yeah, the
do under
cortisol.
stress? For
Mm.
me, it's like, how's everybody else doing? It's just my immediate thought. So second that call ended, I was on the call to somebody else. How are you doing? Checking around. Even whilst on that call, I was like messaging people. How are you doing? How are you coping? Judging like, who do I need to get to first? Now, none of these people, I was their leader, but my passion is for them, because I find if you look after other people, you'll be fine. It's just like if you look after, there's a phrase in the UK, if you look after the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves.
Oh, I haven't
You
heard that one before.
often,
Mm.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. And my instinct has been to do that. And the company's waiting till everybody's officially on consultancy, had the discussions before all that amazing help is provided. But everyone was really struggling. So I do CV writing discussions to an amazing charity called HERA, which helps women who've been trafficked. And so I use those skills. I'm now running a 4-part workshop on writing CVs, using artificial intelligence to write your CV, interview skills, and things like that. I was like, why are we not doing this? And I invited just a handful of people, and like 40 people turned up to the call last week. I was like, wow, okay, we really need this. But that's where my heart goes to. I got so much more out of that than any of those people got on that call, because I was helping people. It's what makes
Wow,
brings me joy.
yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing gift you have in terms of, giving to people and, but like the other thing that comes up for me is that like, is this your opportunity to, that empowering piece, but reimagine and reshape and potentially start your own business, dare I say it,
Oh, I'd love to.
playing in
I'd
this
love
other
to.
space?
But so my husband is disabled. He has multiple sclerosis
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
thrombosis. Um, it's fine. And it's something that he's had for 13 years. And part of my original journey, that was the big, big thing that hit me when we were 27 years old. And he had something wrong with his brain. It took 2 years to get the diagnosis. So when we were 29, he was told that he had multiple sclerosis, by which point he'd stopped being able to walk. There was just one morning he woke up and couldn't walk. It was traumatic, absolutely traumatic. How do you cope? What are you going to do? And I just was like, what? My life, my plans are all over, and I was still really struggling with my confidence at that time. I was like, no, this is absolutely the end. What can I do about it? I desperately wanted a child. My beautiful daughter, evidence of that did happen.
Well
But
done.
yeah, yeah, that's a journey in itself. Um, but I was at that time going, what can I do? And I was looking at my career going, my gosh, I think I'm going to have to earn this, like earn for two people for the rest of my life. I never wanted to be the main breadwinner, but I always had been. My husband was always like close behind, but then he was off work and he wasn't going to work. What do I do? Right. So I needed that promotion. And I went to a senior leader and said, right, I've got two paths ahead of me. With technology, I can either go the engineering path, so the technical path, or I can go down the more leadership path. And I asked the senior leader's advice, and he went, yeah, but Samantha, you're not technical. And I was like, okay, fine. Thank you very much for that information. Took that on board. Da, 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 da. Now, at the time, I was actually a computer programmer and had a degree in computer science and mathematics. Why did I believe him? Why? It just was, it just hit me like a few years later that I made a choice based upon one person's opinion that was clearly wrong. And that has been like a really big like moment in my life where I recognize that, and I now do talks called You Are Technical to help empower people who've literally just written themselves off and gone, that's it, I can't work in technology. And that's where my passion is technology. And although I would love to set up my own company and do all of that kind of thing, I still need to support my
Yeah, fair
family and
enough.
have that stable income. And I'm going to at some point. I just want to get to that point where the financial stability is there so that I can do that. So
You're
yeah.
incredible. Like, you've got all
Oh,
these, it's
so
almost
are
like,
you.
let's call them side hustles, right? So you've got all these side hustles on the go. How do
I have
you,
more side hustles than I have jobs.
yeah, but how do you stay so upbeat? Like, you talk about like supporting other people. You've got your own, kind of challenges as well, like, with your husband and everything else. How do you stay so bubbly and bright? What do you do to I guess, yeah, fill your own self up, like cup up?
My faith. So I'm a Christian. It's something that has always been a part of my life, but I've had a transformative journey in my life. I've been through that, and I honestly believe that God has His hand on my journey, and everything that I do to help people is all about that. It's interesting how you actually look at the Bible and then actually apply it to business. So I consider myself to be a servant leader, which is something that we've been teaching in a church for
Yeah.
such a long time, and I very much apply it. I'm not there to manage people. I am there to serve them as people, and it's a completely alien concept. It's difficult when egos get in the way, but serve I serve people. I want to help them. I want to help them communicate effectively. And one of the other roles I do is I'm a trustee of my church, and I'm their facilities manager. It's a 200-year-old building. It's also got a graveyard, so I literally know where the bodies are buried, which is hilarious. Um, and I do youth leading, kids work. I just fill up my day with all these things, but I find that I still have time to relax, and my faith is what gets me through life.
Trusting the
Yeah,
process, right? Like it's almost like a bit of trusting the process, whether you're religious or not. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I always think there's, I call it the universe, like, and I think it is around having that ability to trust that process.
yeah,
And listen to the nudges, like listen to those nudges when they're
yes,
talking to you, etc. Coming back to this servant leadership, it's really interesting you bring that
yes,
up because, if you think about as a leader, there's a need for the servant, the transformational and the adaptive leadership.
yes.
But I think that more and more in society and how we're, in this kind of new world order, and I'd love your thoughts on this, that there's this,
Mm,
for me, it's more of this soulful, kind of, I call it high flow, but soulful conscious leader, whereby
mm,
it is leading from within. It starts within it as us as an individual
yeah,
versus seeking that leadership style and the way we lead with our people is, you've got to be connected within yourself to be able to
yes,
be able to serve your people, like you talk that servant style
absolutely.
leadership. And so what's your view on that? Like what's your thoughts and what are you seeing in the industry you're in from you brought up the technical piece and, obviously from a product,
Mm,
and from an technical in or technology and insurance, are you seeing that there is more of that coming through or is it still very
yes.
much, yeah, okay. Mm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's interesting with so we have the traditional approach to technology, which was the waterfall approach, is what people call it.
yeah,
And then you've got the new modern approaches, agile being one of those. And that's a large part of what my job is to support people in that understanding agile, how to do those, embrace those things. But the actual concept of agile is very much to serve teams, and you have roles like myself, agile coaches, what was called Scrum Masters and now is called Agile Delivery Leads, is where it's about empowering the teams, but very much that has to come from the senior leadership as well. And I find that senior leadership put in these roles and they're, amazing and supportive, but then if it's not aligned to the top, then you end up with, here's an agile organization, and then you've got senior leadership going in a different direction. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just that it's got to trickle upwards, just like things have got to trickle downwards.
Yeah.
And I think technology is very much largely changed because of the uniqueness of the people. Technology attracts very much people who are neurodiverse or neurospicy, as I like to call them.
I
And
hadn't
I've
heard
been
that
on
term.
my
I
own.
love
I
neurospicy.
know. It feels so much better because I found out I went through early menopause last year, which I don't recommend it to anyone. Not that you have a choice. But I found out I had ADHD and I was like, what? What's going on? And actually learning about myself and what you were talking about is, something coming from within. You have to know yourself
Mm,
before you can help other people.
I totally
Like, I'm
agree.
like, who am I? Like, what am I about? Why would I want to help people? Why do I want to do that? And I spent quite some time exploring that. And that is, I think, where everybody needs to start, whether they're looking at a new career journey, whether they're looking at what they want to do. You've got to find what brings you joy.
Yeah, that's that inside out
Yeah,
transformation piece for me. And I think it
yeah,
starts with the leader or the individual, then it cascades
yes,
into a team and then a total business. Like what is
yeah,
going on the inside? Because
yes,
that's the only way that, you're really going to solve those complex problems. And like you say, and I've had to do that myself as well. You've got to do the work. You've got to kind of go,
yeah,
okay, well, you get diagnosed with ADHD, and I'd be interested in chatting a little bit about that because there's a lot of
mm,
people, at an older age being diagnosed
yes,
now, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, so what do I do with
yeah,
this and how do I handle this? And then what does this change with me? But it's also part of is I guess it's a question for you. Is it because it was for me is having that ability to be able to sit with the uncomfortability of it all, to be able
yes,
to then see what comes up, and as
mm,
and you have to go so deep sometimes, and it gets more and more and more uncomfortable, and then
yeah,
you kind of go, "Ah, okay, I get it now."
yeah, yeah.
Is that kind of what you is like? It's almost like this unraveling, right?
Yeah. It's when you discover this little thing about you. I like seeing that in other people now. When somebody says something to me, I had somebody leave for me a 5-minute message over the weekend, explaining why they were wrong about something and explaining what the right answer was. And I was like, geez, this is going too far. But I realized in that they have a real passion about being correct, and if that broke their value inside them. And now I can go to them and go, you know that you have this. And actually knowing that thing about themselves is like really important. Knowing
Yeah.
yourself. It's like when you take a Myers-Briggs or personality test for the first time and it comes out and you're like, oh, I'm that now.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think, have you ever done the 16 personalities test? Like
Yes,
that's,
oh yeah, is that Myers-Briggs?
no, it's different to Myers-Briggs. Oh, maybe, I don't know if it's, well,
I'm an INTJ.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Is
Well,
that the one?
I'm an I think I'm an ENTJ something.
Yeah.
But I think I'm extra intro, right? Like, so
Yeah.
for me, like, I am very good at going out. I love socializing. I love to, go into a room and just like, it's like, bring it on. I love presenting. I love all of that. I love chatting. Here we are. You know what I mean? But then
Yeah.
I have my moments where I have to go back to my den, and actually just like, because quite often people go, how do you stay so upbeat and so positive? And I'm like, well, you can't be upbeat all the time. Like
No,
I
of course
call
can't.
that like you kind of sometimes you're operating in survival mode, and then other times you're operating in, where you're thriving and
Yes.
optimally thriving. But
Yeah.
for me, there is this need to always, and I think this comes back to, the piece around that conscious leader, that servant leadership is that there's this constant need to be able to go back and check what's going on within. And I think that,
Yes.
that's only when we can shine our brightest and perform at our
Yeah.
best and feel our best is when we're
Yeah.
constantly doing that check back in here.
Yeah.
And the same goes with teams and businesses. If you're not checking what's going on the inside, well, what's going to be reflected on the outside
Yes.
is going to be completely disconnected.
Yes. I had exactly that same experience. I joined a team that was a bit in crisis for 6 months ago. So I'm with the product owner practice lead. I can then jump in and be a product owner for a period of time. And I had a team that was just in a really bad place, and because they were in a bad place, they weren't delivering. And it just it makes sense from a if a team is psychologically struggling, then of course they're not going to deliver very well. The quality will go down, the volume will go down. So I worked at bringing that fun back, that joy. At Christmas, I dressed in a different outfit every single day on the lead up to Christmas. I really made a fool of myself, but they loved it,
Did you make a
and I
fool
got
of
them
yourself though?
smiling.
Like there you are. You're putting yourself.
Well, for me, I wasn't making a fool of
No,
myself because
but
in
you
my
said
brain, I'm
that.
like,
Yeah.
today I need to be an elf, and that is what's going to happen. I even have a Santa beard and then like decorated the background with tinsel and lights. And I just went all out because they all wanted to come on video then and comment and say things. And it wasn't as embarrassing as what I had on video because I was in a full blown Santa outfit. And it's things like that that, okay, I did the day job, but what brought me joy was the people, like connecting with each individual person. What's the problem? How can I help you? And it wasn't necessarily what my job was. My job was supposed to feed them information and things like that. But whether they were in a bad place or a good place that day, it was always being that present person. And I've done that on many times before where you get into a team and they're just like, this is bad, and you're like, okay, well, what role do I need to fill, what person do I need to be to fill that gap? And sometimes you just listen.
I agree. But you also, when you say what person to fill that gap, I think from me, it's being authentically yourself, right? And
Yes.
so, you were able to bring back a team that were clearly disconnected, dysfunctional, no doubt, and super reactive. And by doing what you did, you brought in novelty every day. You created a safe space and place, a form of familiarity that
Mm,
enabled everybody to then open up. And
yes.
I think that's what, well, my view is that is, the leaders of the future because Ghana being, not showing any form of, I guess, vulnerability and
Yeah.
the ability to also call it out. Like I think that, what actually is the problem here, guys? Like what's going on? Because we
Yes.
quite often have this tendency to solve problems at a surface level or a
Yes.
transactional level but actually it never solves it. What's your
Oh
views
no.
what's your views on that?
Oh yeah, and this is the thing. If you look at the outcome and you try and solve the outcome without actually getting back to the root cause. I mean, this is what I do in technology day in, day out. People go, we're going to solve this. It's like, the root cause, and it's the same as if you go into a hospital and somebody is bleeding out. You go, let's stop the blood, and then just stop at that. There's a reason. You've got to dig down and actually, triage that patient. And it's the same with any kind of, you can do that at a person level, a team level, and a department level. So at the moment, it's very obvious at the moment in my department where I'm at, the trauma at the moment is half of us are being made redundant. It's a trauma. It's difficult. It's really tough. And it's something, a wound that will need to heal over time. And in 6 months' time, a year's time, the people who are left will still be feeling that. And so organizational change also needs to be looked at from a wider perspective. Are you bringing people along? Are they bought into that?
Mm.
How are they still reacting to something that happened a year ago, 2 years ago? Some people can get over things in a very short period of time with the right discussions, the right understanding. But when you're just told, that's it, your job's going, we're just moving to this thing and it's all going to be fine. If you're not bought into that journey, of course, you're not going to
No, there's a
be
disconnection. There also comes,
engaged.
yeah, there also comes a point though, right, that you need to, like for you, like again, back to this servant leadership. There's also that
Mm-hmm.
ability to also though go, all right, well, I call it that was my fixed old form, and I'm now what I call becoming formless. I'm shapeless. I'm reshaping, shaping what I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do next. How do you how do you then, disconnect or almost start to bounce yourself forward out of where you are? Because when it's systemic and when a business is like that and there's trauma and everything else, and you're leaving and needing to kind of focus now on what's next for you and the next opportunity. How do
Yes.
you, as a people person, as a servant leader, how do you ensure that you do have that ability to bounce forward and not get caught up in something that is no longer serving you? It's almost like that letting go piece for me.
But you do get caught up in it. It's just maybe to a lesser extent, and acknowledging that, okay, there's a grieving cycle, I've gone through it. But I attended a workshop in London with Google called I Am Remarkable.
I like it.
And oh my gosh, did that change things? Because then they said, would you want to be a facilitator? I was like, go on then, let's do it. So I got trained to be a facilitator, ran it when I got back at work, and slowly understanding this. And then I thought, I want to do this more. And it took about 6 months to fight for the organization because of the D&I and everything like that to run this. So I did. And then COVID hit. And I'd already challenged myself at the beginning of the year to say yes to every public speaking opportunity. By the end of the year, sheesh, I slightly regretted that because I didn't have time to do the actual job. But this I Am Remarkable workshop, now I've trained over 1,000 people off my own back. It was completely voluntary. How do you bounce back? Well, everybody's unique. This is what I've learned. Everybody's remarkable, whether it's because they coped with the birth of their child or because they've seen, their family killed in front of them or whatever it may be. There's such a wide range of how traumatized and how many empowerment things are in a person. Every journey is completely unique, and when you want to be formless, you've that uniqueness, it's unique to all of you. Your response to everything is unique to you. How do you bounce back? You need to know yourself. You need to know your
Mm.
superpowers, your uniqueness. When I realized I had ADHD, I was like, oh my gosh. But then it was like, wait a sec, what are the superpowers? Like, what? Okay, so I can do 101 things at once. Great. So I do. And I could do it really fast. And I love it. When AI came on board, I used my superpower of going into like rabbit hole digging, like, oh, I want to know. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
Spent
100%. I can
ages
only
just
imagine.
like, what can I do? Everybody's got their own superpower. I
Mm.
mean, the fact that you've carried on with this podcast and you carry on despite all of those things, the patience and persistence and that integrity of who you are. This is what you do. I couldn't do this.
Yeah,
That
I actually said to I said to chat the other day, oh gosh, I've got like, because originally when I first was doing these podcasts, it was like I'm going to post them like immediately, but
mm,
now it's like no. I'm now doing them my way, which is really intentionally and pulling out the nuggets of all the different pods I'm getting and the research that I'm coming and the insights. And I said,
mm,
I'm behind, like beating myself up. And they're like, no, you're not. You're doing it all intently. And I'm talking to a machine about
yes.
this, right? But it's true. I think that we put so much pressure on ourselves to personify something or be something or but actually we have to be true to who we are, and
Yeah.
it's that constant reminder, true to who you
Yeah.
are, excel with like bring those superpowers to life. Don't dim them, light them up. Um,
Yes.
and I think that is exactly. I have a question for you because everybody who is booking in for the podcast, I'm asking them a
Yes.
question, and a majority of people are actually answering it, which I'm actually just so like I have so much gratitude and gratefulness for the
Yeah.
fact that people are actually spending a lot of time responding to this question, because I just didn't expect it. And it's I think I ask what's one unique insight or experience around life, leadership, and business, because that's what my business is all about, that
Oh gosh, what did I write?
inside out transformation. And you wrote, and I'd love you to just elaborate a little bit on it, is that
Yes.
every person is worthy of the career and life goals they aim for.
Yes.
We are all unique and remarkable, but self-confidence can be so significantly impactful on our dreams. I'd like to help mentor people to communicate effectively through their through their career life and mental health. Now, we've talked a lot about this, but yeah, do you want to elaborate a little bit more on it?
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah. So what I realized after quite a bit of soul searching is that communicating effectively is my thing. Um, I love to work with people to help communicate effectively, not just to others, but to themselves as well. And yeah, I've talked about uniqueness already because we compare ourselves to others and other standards. So I was sitting here going, oh my gosh, I want to be like Bee. I want to run my own podcast. I want to do that. I could stop what I'm doing and helping mentoring people and go after the goal of being you. Now, is that going to add things? No, because you're already you, you're already doing this. But so many times we try and be that other person and we're actually not communicating effectively because it's not our unique story. So there's a reason why we're all different because we all need to do different things. I can't do what you do, but
But I
you
can't
also
do what you
can't do
do.
what I do. Yeah. But I wouldn't want to. And I wouldn't want you to, and you wouldn't
No,
want me to, because you've got to find your own uniqueness. Don't try and be somebody else. Be be be
be
be
Samantha.
yourself. Yes, exactly. And knowing that with that workshop, and the why it's so good, it's called I Am Remarkable, is because I have to say I am remarkable, and it doesn't necessarily get any
It's a good
easier, but
mantra. I'm a remarkable. When I'm having the worst day of the day, I am
yeah,
remarkable.
yeah, yeah. And remembering that there are moments where you go, okay, I'm remarkable because I have mentored 1,000 people, but I'm also remarkable because I decided yesterday to not do anything. And when I got a message from my mother-in-law to book something, I just went, I'm not doing that now. I'm not in that place. It's okay to be like
You're
human in different things.
100%, but you're remarkable because you set a boundary. You said no, and you were like, no, I'm not
I
doing
didn't
it.
even respond to her. I feel really bad about that now. I feel I need to go into
And
but
sometimes
yeah.
you don't need to respond. That's the other
No.
thing. There's all this immediacy. I want to ask you a couple of questions before we go. Your daughter, your gorgeous daughter who's behind you in the picture.
How you
What
doing?
do given that you said at the start of the pod that you had confidence issues as you were growing up and things like that,
Yeah.
what do you tell her? It's almost like what would you tell your younger self? So what do you tell your younger self and
Oh,
your daughter around
that
that?
is so good question. Because yeah, it's tough, and I see her struggling like I struggled. I've actually paid for a counsellor for her because that's what I
Yeah,
would have wanted to have at
yeah,
her age.
yeah. How old
Um,
is she, sorry?
she's 10.
Yeah.
In that photo, she's a lot younger. So, interestingly enough, so she's 10, but she's the height of about a 14-year-old because my husband is 6'10".
Wow. Oh gosh.
I know. That's what I say every single time. Whenever I'm with him, nobody ever notices me. So because he's 6'10", walking stick, ginger hair, glasses, literally nobody. He's just like this beacon of amazingness, and I so admire him and through what he's
Yeah,
been
been
through.
through, yeah.
And that's where like we're trying to inspire her, but She's actually named after the first ever computer programmer, Ada Lovelace.
Oh,
200 years ago, she became the first ever computer programmer. And she's like my total hero. So my husband said, yeah, we'll call her Ada. I'm like, yes.
I love
But I just tell her she can do anything that she wants to. But she's vulnerable. She's I can see when she's with her friends, even though she's the tallest, she's the
awkward.
most kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm struggling with that. And so, I want to, and I have told her that, she needs to be her. She needs to be honest. And when she's going through tough times, she needs to talk to people about it. Um, and she's just, most amazing little girl that I've ever met. And she so looks like me. And everyone's like, oh, she's just like you. And I'm like, that's such an honor because I think she's the
Oh,
prettiest girl ever. And so I just try and empower her, tell her that she's amazing, that all of those things.
it's great
Just
that you've
because
got
I
her
think,
like you're already getting like you're getting her that support because I think the same thing.
yeah,
Like, I as a young one, I lacked that confidence and people are like, I don't know how, but it's like you just I don't know, you just do. I got bullied, at a young age
yeah,
and it kind of
same.
changed my whole trajectory and it's shaped me to who I am today. And so yeah, I do say the same thing to my nieces and my nephews
Yeah,
that be you, be your unique
yeah,
you, and like that's who you need to be, and don't ever let
yeah,
anyone tell you otherwise, because I just think in today's society and world we're in, the ones that are the most authentic and soulful and more conscious, um, they will be the ones that lead the way. They are going to shine the brightest. And so why should we not be able to embrace our authenticity, our uniqueness, be
yeah. And be
remarkable
happy.
and be happy and be happy. Like it's
Yeah.
I really just truly believe that. So I love that. I have one last question for you, Samantha. I keep going to call you Sam because I'm one of those people that always give someone a nickname that I'm like, don't Belinda, because it may not be your nickname. But what's your biggest hope for the future of work?
My work or work in general, because
Work
I
in
always
general, the
look
future of work. Like I hate even calling it the word work, but what is your hope for the future of business? Let's call it business instead of work.
going back to my value, communicating effectively. So many things in everybody's work could be solved with that simple thing of tell somebody, talk to somebody, connect with somebody, actually think about what you're telling people. Don't just go, actually shape that. If you um, fail to prepare, no, you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I think that's really important is that you come onto a discussion like this. Like I've planned. I thought like, what am I going to say? What am I going? How am I going to be? Where am I going to sit? Which laptop am I going to use? I've planned that. And I think people don't think intentionally about those conversations and go, oh, I went into this meeting for an hour when I was presenting on something. And I spent 5 minutes on thinking about it beforehand. And it totally went wrong. Well, of course it went wrong. You haven't thought. And so whether, you are a cleaner or whether you're a CEO, you need to communicate properly about what your thoughts are, what the problems are, where are you going, what do you need, and you need to know the people with which to talk to. If a CEO goes to talk to somebody from a completely other company about their own teams, then it's just going to be
Yeah.
pointless because they need to talk to the people that are actually doing it. So communicate effectively is what my always think like this, a good proper conversation, and talk.
I love that. So many profound insights and shares today, Samantha. How do we find out more, or how do we get more of those insights from you and shares? Where are we best to find you?
LinkedIn is my absolute favorite place to be. And I haven't been posting recently just because of all the changes in work, and I knew it was coming and I was seeking a job. But I will be putting more of those things out there. So, and I'm always open to have like coffee chats. I get random people come and contact me all the time, and I love those conversations. So, come and have a chat with me. Also, if you have a job, that's always good as well, because I'd quite like one of those. But yeah, just reach
Amazing.
out.
All right, well, I'll share it in the notes, but I have
Oh,
no
thanks.
doubt you are going to continue to shine, and that next role that you go into, watch out world. I'm super excited for you, to be honest. I think it's like, yeah, it's almost like you're being guided into, and I can see what you're going to be doing. And yeah, I see a business for you, your own business for you down the track when you're ready. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I've really, really enjoyed our chat tonight. It's been very soulful
Oh, thank
and
you.
formless in terms of just the way we've chatted. So have a wonderful day and thank you.
Too.
Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you.